Welcome to Let the Music Set You Free, a monthly music hang with your host Katie Dobbins and special guests. Let the Music Set You Free showcases songwriters who are pursuing their creative calling and sharing their journey and music in hopes of inspiring others to embrace their passions as well. While music is the universal language that has the power to touch people unlike anything else, the reality is that many people need a helping hand beyond the power of music in order to move forward in their lives. In this series, songwriters are using their creativity to bring awareness and funds to organizations who provide tangible resources to people who need them. To support the cause, check out the donation link in the video description. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Let the Music Set You Free. This is our third live stream of this new series that I'm doing, and I'm so grateful to be here with you tonight and to also have a couple guests with me. So we're just going to take a minute real quick to introduce ourselves for you, and then we're going to get into some music. So I am your host, Katie Dobbins, a New Hampshire singer-songwriter, lived in Boston for about 10 years, and now I'm back in New Hampshire, and yeah, I think that's it. You'll hear a lot more about me as this show continues tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to, I have two guests with me this evening, a musical guest and also Sarah Williams, who is representing our benefiting organization tonight, which is New Beginnings. So Sarah, do you want to just say hello? Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm the prevention educator for New Beginnings. I've been with New Beginnings since August 2020, and I just started this new role in September.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So excited to talk more with you this evening. And then my musical guest is Danielle. Danielle, how do you say your last name?
Oh, it's Pinals. It's like finals with a P.
Ah, okay, cool. I think I definitely said it wrong the other day. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm like, it's a hard name to pronounce, so I'm used to it. But I'll go by anything, honestly. But yeah, my name's Danielle, and I'm in Boston. I'm a singer-songwriter and a voice teacher, and I'm also a therapist. So I do lots of things with mental health and singing.
That's awesome. So we're going to have a lot to talk about for sure. So Danielle, I will tell you real quick. So everyone watching, we had a little bit of, fun sound challenges, I will say, this evening before the show began. And so, Danielle, I want to tell you real quick that I can hear you, but it's only coming out of one side of my headphones, which is like fine. But, it's not, I don't know why it's doing that. I wasn't doing that before, but anyway, okay. So we're just kind of like keeping each other posted with how things are sounding throughout the show.
Yeah. I will also let you know if anything strange happens. But sorry, that's
good. This sounds good. So the way this is going to work is I'm calling these shows kind of a mixtape of music and advocacy and storytelling. So you're going to hear music from myself and Danielle, and then we're also going to chat with Sarah more about what she does, what her role is at New Beginnings, and we'll get into that. We talked with Shauna from New Beginnings last month, and you all do so much over there that I felt like we could talk even more and go even more in depth. So I wanted to continue this for another month. So I'm super stoked to continue that conversation. But I guess I'll kick off the music, and then Danielle and I are just going to swap songs for a little bit, and then we'll bring Sarah back on with us to chat. So I'll see you ladies in a minute. Okay, so I am going to start the night off with the song that you heard in the intro video this evening, which is a song called Jeep Song. It's on my sophomore album, There Is Light. Can you all just tell me if you're hearing this guitar okay? Rather, I'm going to start playing, and then if anyone isn't hearing it and you want to let me know in the chat, I will fix it. But I wrote this song after one summer I spent a ton of time learning how to drive standard in my friend's Jeep Wrangler, which was like a super fun car to learn on. And so I wrote this song about that, and I was really not good at driving standard. I don't know if y'all have tried it, but I found it pretty challenging. And so there's a line in this song that says, "Don't stall on me." But as I've grown and, there's been so much time since I first wrote this song, I feel like the song isn't just about learning how to drive standard anymore. It's also just, when I sing it, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I don't want to stall on myself. I am trying to follow my dreams and do all of these things, and, we all have challenges that come our way. But we just have to keep going and not let them stop us from all of the wonderful things that we can become and all of the wonderful work that we can do. So this is Jeep Song. Take your foot off the clutch, easy now. Take that transmission down. I'll take you all over town in this wrangly topless crown. Take your foot off, put your foot on the gas, easy now. Turn up that radio sound. We're singing all over town in this wrangly topless crown. Don't stall on me. We're riding with the wind in our seats. Don't stall on me. I'm trying to believe. Turn your eyes to the window, easy now. Let that air blow
Wow, that was so beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, that just like had me like driving on highways in New England. And yeah, I love the metaphor there. Like you seem so in touch, just like connected to your inner spirit, if we can call it that. And it's so clear, I think, from your lyrics, how it's just brought out in this metaphor of driving. Like you're going to keep driving on, and that shows in all of the way you express yourself too. So
thanks. And I feel like it's also like, I really appreciate that. That's so kind of you to say. And also it's like, yeah, I'm going to keep driving, but I'm going to stall sometimes, like things happen and their challenges come up, but you just got to keep moving forward and restart, which is what I had to do before our show tonight, restart my whole computer.
Yeah, same. I had to restart too. So, but yeah, I feel that it's like having the expectations of that. It's so healthy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Danielle, let's hear some music from you, girl.
Okay. So I'm going to sing a song. This is called Burn. And I know the theme of the night is kind of trauma. So I think I'm a trauma-informed counselor. So I think one of the things that I think about a lot is that we've all been through some kind of adversity, even if it's not necessarily classic trauma. And this is definitely something that I have been through that really, I think, shook me. And I had to kind of have a lot of reflection to get through. So this is about that. It takes a match to light a fire. It takes more wood to make more flame. It takes people to protect it from burning out again. It makes comfort, it makes warmth, but it needs work to keep up. How do you remove yourself from the matches that you struck? I will light my own way, be my own warmth in the cold. I will fly through the fray, I will be bright and bold. It's just like they all say, and I finally learned that if you play with fire, then you just might get burned. It takes a match to light a fire, but the clouds will start to form. And although you lit the match, you became the storm. But you cannot contain me, no, you can't hold me in, 'cause the life I'm bound to start is ready to begin. I will light my own way, be my own warmth in the cold. I will fly through the fray, I will be bright and bold. It's just like they all say, and I finally learned that if you play with fire, then you just might get burned. And this is how it feels to be the fire that you've set. I went on as long as I could, but you haven't come back yet. And now I've had to maintain, and now I've had to learn that you'll keep setting fires so you can watch me burn. my own way, be my own warmth in the cold, and I'll fly through the fray. Oh, I'll be bright and bold. It's just like they all say. And I finally learned that if you play with fire, then you just might get burned. Thanks, Chris Steele. I saw your little thing come across the ticker, and I'm so glad you're here and listening. Thanks, Katie.
Girl, you can belt.
Thanks.
You got a voice on you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Obviously.
Loud lungs in a small body, yeah. Aw, is that your dad?
That's my dad, yeah.
Okay. I love all the
Dobbins.
Dobbins.
My dad are both cheering you on.
Aw. Yeah, thanks.
That was so beautiful.
Thank you. I wrote that song like, gosh, it must be 10 years ago now. And yeah, it's definitely still my favorite.
I love how you can write a song and then it just keeps on taking new life of its own. Like it's almost like it grows with you and you always remember what you initially wrote it about. But every time you sing it, at least for me, like either I'm singing it from a more empowered place or I've had like a new life experience that suddenly the song is about that. And I just think it's so powerful how music can do that. Like it doesn't just stand still in that one moment in time.
Yeah, those lyrics can like really start to morph and be about the different situations or the different people who they also apply to. And it's just, yeah, exactly. It's that magical thing about music where like we don't really have that in a lot of other languages where it can just like really shift with you and grow with you. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so funny because when you were playing that, I don't know how much of my music, so Danielle and I and Sarah, all three of us are kind of meeting for the first time through this event this evening. So that's one thing I love about doing shows like this is it allows me to meet new, wonderful people, and I find it so much fun and so exciting. So Danielle, I don't know how familiar you are with all of my music, but I have a song called Bring on the Fire. And
I don't know that one.
It's really funny because my lyric is, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. But if you don't, you might never feel the heat at all. It's more of a it's like taking that same lyric, but I use it in more of you have to take risks kind of way. Whereas you're obviously saying like, I should have known I was going to get burned.
Yes, yeah, but I love that you can play with language that way. And like, that's so interesting that you have that too, because when I first even connected with you on social media, I was coming out with my EP, which is called Little Stars, and your song was also it was Stars, right?
Starlight, yeah.
Starlight, yeah. I couldn't believe that was happening at the same time too, yeah.
I know. I was thinking I might play that one tonight just because I was thinking about how Starlight and Little Stars are so in common. See, I always meet people that I have so much in common with, and it's so fun, and This is great. Okay. So I'm going to play one more song, and then Danielle's going to play one more song, and then we are going to get to have a discussion with Sarah about her role at New Beginnings. So I'm going to play, since you were singing about lighting your own way and kind of being your own light and everything, I'm going to play a song I have called There's a Light. And I guess the song kind of speaks for itself, but you know, we all have, I'm like, the song speaks for itself, but I'm going to tell you. We all have, I really believe that everybody has light inside of them. And it doesn't always feel like that though. Like there's, you know, sometimes we all doubt ourselves, or if we're not getting like the feedback that we want to get from other people or something like that, we can start to think, well, I don't know, I thought I had all this light, but maybe not. Like, and this song kind of touches on that, because no matter whether people are cheering you on about whatever it is, you know, fill in the blank, whether they're cheering you on or not, it doesn't change what's inside of you. It doesn't change the power that you have and the beautiful things that you can bring to the world. And so this is a song I wrote just really wanting to encourage myself and also hopefully just anyone who hears it that we are all just made of so much light. There's a light inside, and it shines. Yeah, it shines. There's a light inside, and it shines. Yeah, it shines so bright. When the shades open in the morning and the rays come through the window glass, and you hide your head under the covers, 'cause you want the darkness to last just a little longer, just a little longer. But that light shining in the morning, you can tell it's not going nowhere. So you pull your squinty eyes up, blinded by this beautiful day. But not everybody's ready to wake up. Not everybody's ready for a cup. They don't really want to see anything but their own sheets. Do you? Why not do something? There's a light inside, and it shines. Yeah, it shines. There's a light inside, and it shines. Yeah, it shines so bright. And they don't really wanna see the light that's bursting at your seams. But all you gotta do is tell me, do you wanna be something? 'Cause they don't wanna see the light, but they don't know what's wrong from what's right. All you gotta do is tell me, do you wanna do something?
Yay!
Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, your songs are so beautiful. I need to find better ways to express myself though, because I feel like that's gonna get feel like a broken record. But I was wondering while you were doing that, like when you have written these songs about basically finding your light, did you find that happened kind of all after your moment of like realizing like I want to do musicianship full time, or has this kind of been gradually ongoing?
That's a great question. I think the theme of light in my life has always been a thing. And I actually was very heavily immersed in music making and performing and trying to spread positive messaging through music and through shows like this. I mean, I've been doing that since I you and I talked the other day about how we both are like having this like a kind of awakening moment about, okay, I need to do this. Like I need to create. I'm not spending enough time creating. And so I had that moment in 2015 and I just like threw myself into music making and performing. And I think that was really my, it's not the word platform isn't what I want to use, but that was really my like, I feel like it's the crux of who I am as an artist. I believe I'm so passionate about the fact that we all have so much potential within ourselves that we don't even always realize. And I'm so passionate about like making sure that I'm always seeking to find that within myself and to like realize that within myself, and also hoping to encourage others and kind of like bring it out in others too, because I think one of the saddest things is just when we don't recognize like how brightly we shine. And I feel like that sounds corny the way that I'm saying it, but I really, really believe that. And my first record was called She Is Free, because I was like, I'm free, like I'm not holding myself back anymore. And my second record was called There Is Light, and I'll probably be singing about light till the day I die.
I love it though, because it's so authentic and personal to you, and like I think it's such an important message. Like it reminds me of that Sarah Bareilles lyric that's like, we've been handed mountaintops to sing from and we still don't. And it's just that like finding potential and using the time that we have here to like really shine.
Yeah, and it's so easy to just like go about life and kind of be like, oh yeah, like every day, it's Monday, oh it's Tuesday, oh it's Wednesday, oh like I'm working at my job, and I don't know, like there's just so much more,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I have a song I'll probably sing about that later, but first, let us hear one more song from the wonderfully talented Danielle Pinals, and then Sarah will bring you back to chat with you a little bit.
Awesome. All right, I think we're going to switch over to guitar here, and hopefully me changing this mic doesn't completely mess up you being able to hear me, but we'll see how that goes. So anyways, this is from my EP that I released. It's called Little Stars, and I'll probably sing a lot off of those because I have been practicing those the most. But this song is called Messy Sheets, and it's about a long-distance relationship that I was in. It goes like this. Tell me something I don't know. People make choices, people go, and I will change too, and I will grow. People like you always say so, but what about the messy sheets? What about the space between us? I will be your home from afar, a little star to catch when you're falling down to the edge of oceans apart. Make a new start and call when you come around. Oh, 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 oh. want to stay. People like me don't want to say no, and it's another give and take. Forgive, forget, take a break. But what about the messy sheets? What about the space between us? I will be your home from afar, a little star to catch when you're falling down to the edge of oceans apart. Make a new start and call when you come around. Oh, 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 oh. This is on me now. I've been waiting. Turn down the bed and the memories fading. Unfold the sheets and put down the books. The pages you turn are wherever you look. Oh, 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 oh. I will be your home from afar, a little star to catch when you're falling down to the edge of oceans apart. Make a new start and call when you come around. Around. So.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
There's that word again.
I know. Were you able to hear the guitar okay on that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Awesome.
So that's from your EP, which is out, and everyone can stream it. It's called Little Stars, right?
Yeah, it's called Little Stars, and you can find it on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you stream songs.
Yeah, and it's a super dreamy record. I really enjoy it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So let's introduce Sarah Williams, and I'm going to put a link on the screen for anyone who wanted to, where is it? Here it is. For anyone who wants to contribute to tonight's show, we are doing this to raise awareness around domestic abuse and domestic violence, and kind of learn from Sarah, who does this for a living. And 50% of all of the donations that we raise tonight are going to go straight to New Beginnings Without Violence and Abuse. So, and then the other is going to support Danielle and I as musicians. And so we really appreciate anything that you give to us this evening. And we also realize that not everyone is able to give, and we want you to know that you're still welcome here. So thank you either way for being with us, and I'll leave that link on the screen for a little bit while I introduce Sarah again. So hi, Sarah.
Hi.
So you work for New Beginnings, and you said did you say you've been working there since September, or you had a new role starting in September?
I had a new role starting in September. I was the AmeriCorps Vista from August 2020 to August 2021. So I've been the prevention educator for a couple months now.
Awesome. So tell us what you do as a prevention educator. So for anyone who actually didn't tune in last month, for last month's Let the Music Set You Free episode, we talked about New Beginnings and had a different person, Shauna, representing. Oh, hi, Duke and Betty. Danielle.
Thank you, Duke and Betty.
So for anyone who wasn't with us last month, we started the conversation with New Beginnings, and we're continuing it this month. So in case anyone isn't familiar, Sarah, can you give like an elevator pitch / summary of what New Beginnings even is, and then tell us what your role is, like what do you actually do as a prevention educator?
Yeah, so New Beginnings is a crisis center for survivors of domestic and sexual violence in Laconia. We serve all of Belknap County. Some of our services include a 24-hour crisis line, court advocacy, one-to-one peer support, emergency assistance, emergency shelter. We have a bunch. All of our services are free and confidential. As a prevention educator, my job is to go into schools and talk about healthy relationships with kids. For younger kids, we talk about setting boundaries, coping strategies, empathy, that kind of stuff. And with the older kids, we can talk more about sexual violence and teen dating violence. As a prevention educator, it's my hope that I can provide kids with the tools and resources necessary to prevent violence before it begins, identifying red flags, identifying abusive behaviors. And I also hope to let them know that New Beginnings is a resource in the community for them, and that we can also provide support to teens and kids.
That is so important. Like, that is amazing. And it must be these are very heavy topics for anyone to talk about. So it must be challenging also to talk about this in a school setting with kids, because you said you work with kids from pre-K all the way through high school, right? So
yeah.
How does that go? I mean,
the younger kids, it's more age appropriate. We help them identify trusted adults, how they can say no, and how to respect when other people say no. I think the older kids like to talk about this stuff. They're engaged when I've talked with them. I think too, they see a lot about consent on social media now, and I feel like there's been a big movement, like the Me Too movement. So I think kids actually do want to talk about this, and sometimes when I go into schools, I could be the only person they hear this information from. But so far they've been really engaged, and they seem at least open to the conversations. So that's been good.
That's just amazing. I wanted to bring up something real quick, because we are also tonight going to share some testimonials from folks who have received services from y'all and all the amazing work that you do. And there was one that kind of speaks to how important your role is, Sarah. I don't know if I'm going to click on the right one. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So these are anonymous, but this was one testimonial from someone who has exited your program, but they said, the advocates that you have visit schools and speak to students truly changed my life. I picked my daughter up from school one day, and she shared that New Beginnings presented to her class about domestic violence. It was the first time that I realized what exactly was happening in my marriage, and I knew I needed help for me and my kids. That's just amazing.
Yeah, I just got chills reading that.
I mean, like, the fact that what you're doing is actually really, really opening people's eyes to what's going on in their own homes. Can you talk about that? Like, what is it you think that kind of makes that link for people?
I think, maybe kids grow up sometimes not seeing what a healthy relationship is. So they don't think about it. And, domestic violence can be very generational. So when I go into schools and I talk about abuse, and, sometimes abuse isn't physical, it can be the verbal and mental abuse that we don't talk about as much in society. So I address that with kids and let them know that's a thing. And, they can go home and share the information with their parents and let them know, like, hey, someone came to school today. This is what I learned that domestic violence is, or sexual violence. So I think it's just opening their eyes and letting them know what a healthy relationship looks like if they've never been exposed to one.
That's amazing. And the fact that I think too, sometimes you kind of can know something within yourself, but when somebody else mentions it, you're like, oh, or I can see how someone's kid saying something to them about it would be like, oh my gosh, my kid is recognizing this, and that could possibly be a turning point for someone too. Can you talk about how this affects kids? I mean, just kids who are in homes being exposed to this, like, it must impact their mental health and the way that they perceive, the relationships around them, and how do you help them through that?
Yeah, so whether kids experience domestic violence themselves or if they're exposed to it, it can have a huge impact on their mental health. They might develop depressive symptoms, anxiety, or even PTSD. Let's see. So, kids also might act out. We see that a lot, like behavioral problems. Maybe they become disruptive, or they turn to risky behavior. Older kids might use substances to cope with what's going on. Other kids might become reserved and not talk about the abuse. So there's a lot of trauma response around that, and a lot of mental health issues that can occur if they're exposed or experiencing violence.
So how do you, I guess, like, are there, if, those of us who might work with kids or be around kids or have opportunities to observe, kids of all ages, are there warning signs that kind of make you go, oh, I wonder if this child is going through something at home or, experiencing something that I should talk to them about?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with trauma responses is behavioral changes. If a kid usually pretty quiet and will behave starts to act out, you can kind of look and ask them like, hey, is everything okay? And kind of reflect on maybe why that behavior is changing in them. For sexual violence specifically, kids might have some physiological reactions, like they might start wetting the bed. They could be sucking their thumb and kind of regressing back to those skills, especially if it's younger kids. They might start acting like a baby again. Maybe looking in changes any mood in their personality. They might also have excessive knowledge or talk about sexual activities, or they might exhibit excessive sexual behavior at their age. They also might have self-harming behaviors, so that can be important to look out for too. They might be hesitant to take off their clothes, go swimming, take a bath. There's a lot of different behaviors that kids might exhibit, but it's looking for the changes in what their consistent behavior normally is.
Just go ahead, Danielle.
Just to jump in, because I think being like a therapist, I get people kind of coming off of like the awful experiences that they go through, and I think what you do is just sow the backbone of I feel like what you do in New Beginnings should happen in every school, like teaching kids from a really young age about both empathy but also what are not okay behaviors from their peers, but like other adults. Like, I think having that knowledge from the get-go would give us such a stronger ability to prevent the traumas that can happen to kids so young. And I think it would just change so much for like improving our emotional wellness for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Building those skills as they grow, it's a lot easier than to just jump in when they're in high school and they might already be in those relationships or have already experienced sexual violence. So it's kind of easier to start younger and let them know, like, this is what a healthy relationship is. This is how you say no. This is how you go to a trusted adult or a resource. So definitely, it's great to start at a young age and let them know.
Yeah, it's so incredibly important because, like, I think you and I probably both see this in our work, but like the kids who weren't told, like, or who were sheltered from it or shielded from it, it's not necessarily better for them in the long run, because then the harm happens and then they have to deal with that for years and years of recovering from trauma. So educating your kids is really important if you have kids.
So I love that point. Educating kids is so important. And I think the question that pops in my mind, and the question that I think a lot of people probably have, is how do you do that with a subject that is so mature? And, you don't want to put, like, I can hear people saying, well, you wouldn't want to put ideas in kids' heads, or you don't want to expose them to something that they might not be going through. Like, they're a kid. They should just be a kid. So you, Sarah, can you talk about the ways that you differentiate that for, kids of younger ages when this is such a big topic for them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to talk about it at an early age. I know a big thing parents do is that they don't tell their kids the proper names for their body parts. And that can kind of lead to kids not having the right language or the understanding of what's going on with them. So giving your kids at least the knowledge of, like, this is what, your body parts are. people shouldn't be touching this, or it should be private unless, it's for health reasons, like going to the doctor. So just having those basic conversations of educating your kids about what their body is and letting them know that their body is their body. A lot of times kids are told, like, oh, go hug your grandparents, go hug this person. So it makes them feel like that's their responsibility to kind of listen to adults and be compliant in their behavior, but letting them know that they have a right to their body and no one deserves to touch their body without their consent is really important. And kind of framing just how they can always come to their parents too. A lot of perpetrators might guilt survivors into saying, oh, your parents are going to be angry at you, or you're going to be in so much trouble if you tell anyone what's going on. So if you keep that communication open with your kids and say, if anything's bothering you, you don't have to be worried, and I won't ever be upset or punish you.
Yeah, it's got to be so scary to, even for adults, it's scary to open up about these things. So I can imagine being a kid, and then you have this perceived notion that, adults have all this power that you don't have, and authority over you, and they have the power to punish you, like you're saying. Like, that's got to be terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And there's like a lot of shame too, and if kids don't really know what's going on, or the perpetrator tries to normalize behavior, especially if they've been grooming them over time, it can get incredibly hard and difficult to deal with.
Can you talk about that word grooming? Because it's kind of I've definitely heard of it a lot, and I have an idea of what it is, but can you define it for us?
Yeah, so it's basically when an abuser will use manipulative behaviors to gain access to a victim, kind of coerce them to agree to the abuse, and it helps reduce the risk of them being caught. So maybe they're giving the kids lots of attention, giving them presents and other ways to make them feel like they have a caring relationship. Abusers might also desensitize that child to touch. So maybe they start off hugging them or tickling them or wrestling with them. And eventually that can grow and escalate into sexual contact. And grooming isn't just with kids. Perpetrators can groom their family and the community, so families feel comfortable having that person watch their children without them there.
Wow. So yeah, go ahead, Danielle.
This is incredible information, and I'm just realizing now we probably should have started this off with a trigger warning. So just maybe like a trigger warning for like sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. If anyone watching needs a trigger warning, even though we're mid-conversation about it.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough topic, but it's one that needs to be talked about, because it is there. Like I really, that word shame hits me hard, because there is so much shame around topics like this. If you've experienced it, or if you've known someone or anything, and I think it makes it just so much harder to talk about. But then the more we don't talk about it, the more people continue, the cycle continues, and people continue to get hurt by it. And like, what, I guess, Sarah, and I'm hitting you with a lot of questions that I didn't prep you with, so I really appreciate you kind of going along with me here. But why do you think there's so much shame attached? Like, why do victims of this kind of stuff tend to take that on themselves and feel shame for the situation, even when it wasn't ever their fault? And how do we break that cycle? Like, how do we kind of reaffirm for someone, like, you don't need to be ashamed for this. This is something that happened to you. It's not who you are. And kind of help them reclaim, I guess, their power.
Sexual violence itself is very invasive and very, very humiliating. So, it's just hard to deal with. It's a very traumatic experience. And on top of that, our society can have some victim blaming attitudes. So survivors may just not feel comfortable going to the police. They may be afraid, like, maybe, oh, I was drinking, or I dressed this way, no one's going to believe me. They're going to say that I was asking for it. I also think, too, people just don't know about resources that are available to them, and especially kids. If they don't know how to talk about it or how to get that help, they just kind of internalize all of their feelings and keep it to themselves. So I think as a culture, we can kind of, be more open about sexual violence and even domestic violence and talk about, the red flags, talk about abuse, and also let kids know what healthy relationships are and what a healthy sexual relationship is, and just give them the knowledge and kind of address those victim blaming attitudes. And I think as a culture, we're starting to shift. I know I mentioned earlier the Me Too movement, but a lot of people are talking about kind of what stopped them from reporting, and those kind of fears.
Yeah. I just feel like the education work you're doing with kids is the backbone, but also at the same time thinking about parents who might not feel comfortable, and almost like the encouragement of some curiosity around parental discomfort with these topics. And like, if you're feeling some, I don't know, wigglies about talking to kids around this, like maybe doing some inner soul searching around those wigglies.
Yeah, definitely.
And and also just, I guess, be encouraged to talk to someone about that discomfort and kind of like, why do I feel, like you're saying, why do I feel uncomfortable about this? And, can you help me talk to my kids about this? They're asking questions and I don't know what to say. Like and I think that's why programs like New Beginnings are so important, because you guys are providing this, safe space for people to literally just call if they want to anonymously and ask questions about these kinds of things, because it is, I'm sure it is hard, and like I can feel awkward, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
So when kids are little, we talked about like, these are tough topics. How do you talk about them with kids? Well, one thing is just letting them know that they always have consent and like responsibility over their own body. Like, it's great to be a huggy, but you also don't have to hug everybody. Like, you get to choose who you give hugs to and who you don't, and that's fine. Kind of knowing what's appropriate, modeling appropriate relationships. And then how does that progress in the older years, for teens who are starting to date and all of this stuff? Like, how does that curriculum, or I guess prevention, education, look different?
Yeah, so kind of around setting boundaries, we talk a lot about what consent is. And we don't just talk about consent when it comes to sexual activities. We talk about, it's, if you're touching someone, if you're giving them a hug, it's important to ask for consent. And I think a lot in our culture, we don't think about, oh, my friend's having a bad day. Maybe they don't want me to hug them, and you should still probably ask. So I think it's important to talk about, just kids asking for permission, like, hey, I might be, doing something that invades your space. Is this okay? Can I give you a hug? Do you want any assistance from me? That kind of stuff. So just framing it, but it's not just sexual activity, but they ask for consent all around. And when I talk to students and high schoolers, they kind of recognize, I think an example that I give is, if I want your lunch, I'm not just going to take a bite, I'm going to ask. And when I use that, they can see how they have to ask consent in a variety of scenarios too.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to open it up for questions from people in the chat, and we already have one coming in. So if y'all are listening, we really appreciate you being here, and we welcome you to join the conversation. We'll do a couple questions, and then we're going to end the show with some more music, so stick around for that. But this question came in: can Sarah address how an adult who is in an abusive relationship but is afraid to say anything for fear of reprisals from, I don't know if I said that right, from their partner, can ever escape the situation? So they're in an abusive relationship, they're afraid, how do they escape it?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the situation. The biggest thing, if they want to find support, they can always call their local crisis center and safety plan with an advocate. And safety planning is just kind of brainstorming ways for them to safely exit, which can be a variety of different ways. Maybe if they're afraid that their partner might, if they're physically violent, maybe they can avoid those triggers. So I'm trying to think, let's say their partner is usually gone at certain times. Maybe that's a safe time for them to call an advocate, safety plan. I think it's important too, having a support system is the biggest thing. Your support system will help not only you exit a relationship, but they're going to be there after with you, and kind of eliminate some of the isolation that survivors may feel when they're in a domestic violence situation. Let's see, I don't know if that exactly answered.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Putting you on the spot with some Q&As. Yeah, I think that this is really one of the things that I really love about New Beginnings, the organization here in New Hampshire, is how your approach is just so inclusive and so wraparound. And you're not just, you are doing incredible work to help people who are in the healing process of all of this, but you're also saying, okay, what is it systemically going on here that is causing this to be such a big issue for people, and how can we start from the bottom up to really change it over time, which is hard, long work, but I'm really grateful for you for doing that. So thank you for all the work that you're doing in this community.
Yeah, thank you. I know I hear a lot of people in social services just say, I want to do my work so well, I don't have a job anymore. So I think that's kind of the goal of New Beginnings. We want to prevent abuse, obviously, and we don't want anyone to ever experience it. No one deserves to be beaten or raped, and we just want to be support for them and to, provide them with the tools to stop it.
Thank you for doing that work.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really incredible. And we mentioned this in the last live stream when we talked to Shauna, who also works for New Beginnings, but I want to mention it again. If y'all are feeling moved to donate to this event tonight, 50% of all proceeds are going directly to New Beginnings to help them with all of this work. And also, if you're unable to do that, but you want to get involved, or you want to donate and get involved, then you can also volunteer for this organization. And one way you can do that is through the crisis hotline. And they give you all the training that you need, and you can do it from home and from wherever you are. So I just wanted to mention that in case anyone watching is like, how do I get involved? There's lots of ways to do that.
And if you do want to get involved, I do coordinate some of that. So I don't know if I should put my contact information in the comments or if I can just give that to you, but I would be the person you can email to for that.
Cool. Yeah, you can check out the New Beginnings website, or if anyone reaches out to me, I can reach out to Sarah, or you're also welcome to put it in the comments if you want to.
Yeah. Let's see. I am not seeing an option for me to chat in the comments.
Oh.
But if they reach out to you, then you can just send them an email or.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll put it. You know what I'll do? I'll put your email in the. I'll put it in the comments at the end of the show, so that if anyone wants to reach out to you, they'll be able to see it there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for this. Is there anything that you haven't said yet that you were like, I was really hoping to talk about? Is there any aspect that we haven't talked about? I'll just give the floor over to you for a second.
Yeah, I think we kind of hit on everything. I really just want to come on and talk about prevention and also say thank you to both of you. I mean, what you're doing is great, and I love being on the show, and you both sound beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm never going to be able to hear the word beautiful again.
I know.
But thank you.
All of our favorite words. No, seriously, thank you, Sarah, so much for the work you do and for coming on here to talk about it with us. I think it's just so cool to learn about all of this, and just to be not cool, just like it's important to be aware of in our communities and kind of know what to look for and how to help people, because you never know when you're going to be in a situation, and I want to know how to like respond in a loving and compassionate and also helpful way. So this is really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna say a big thank you and a goodbye to Sarah. We're gonna let her go so she can enjoy the rest of the show from the comfort of her PJs and her couch. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
So, okay, wow. They just do such good work there. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, especially what she does. That is just, I think, some of the most important work in the world. And yeah, it's incredible. Even when Shauna was on and talking about how there's 10 people running all of those programs. I mean, yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah, they really are. So what we're going to do is the rest of the night, we are just going to play some music for you all. We have about a half hour of music left. We're going to be doing some song swapping, and throughout the remainder of the show and even after the fact, even after this live stream is over, you can tip forever. And as long as you just tell me in the comments that you're tipping for this show, then I will be sure to allocate the funds appropriately to the folks who are joining me tonight. So thank you again for all of your support. And shall we get on with some music, Danielle?
Let's do it.
All right. So I will kick us off, and I'm trying to think what I want to play next. I think I'm going to play, let's see. I have this song called The Muse, which is on my latest record, There Is Light. And it's a song that I wrote it in third person, but it's actually really for myself. I do that a lot. Do you ever do that?
Yes, I do.
Like I say you, but I really mean I.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this song when I was just feeling kind of frustrated with myself. Like I was, I was like feeling like every day was just kind of starting to feel the same and look the same. And, you know, I knew within myself what it was that was missing. Like I knew that I had this passion to create and to share my music and things with the world, and I was kind of not fully stepping into it. And this song was kind of born out of that like tension that I think lives within a lot of us about what we're doing day to day and what our hearts long for and desire, and kind of that, especially when you feel convicted and you know that like there is something that you are ignoring that you need to listen to. And I call that the muse. And so this song is called The Muse. And I think too, like we all, usually you know your inner voice pretty well. Like you get gut feelings, you know yourself pretty well. And so you kind of know when you're not following your muse. Wake up again in the same old place. Get yourself ready for the same old day. Moving along at the same old pace. Telling yourself that you like it that way. This routine is wearing thin, but sometimes in life it's just easier to blend in. That's what you tell yourself to keep on going. You're searching and running away from the truth, trying to hold on to someone else's news, dying to just step out of your shoes, all because you're frightened by the muse in you. Ooh, ooh, Looking around at the same old faces, pushing along in this never-ending race. So many shots that you'll never take, no room to risk making mistakes. You're searching and running away from the truth, trying to hold on to someone else's news, dying to just step out of your shoes, all because you're frightened by the muse in you. Ooh, 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 the muse in you. Ooh, ooh, Whispers, can you feel the whispers? The whispers beneath your skin. Feel the sound now. There's a pulse pushing out of you. It's rising and it's getting louder, louder, louder. Oh, quiet that sound, quiet that sound, quiet that sound. You're searching, you're running away from the truth. You're dying. Why are you dying to get out of your shoes? You're frightened. Don't be scared of that muse. Ooh, ooh, the muse in you. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Oh my God, it was so good. Oh my God, Katie. Like, it's the way you went into, oh, my piano turned off. I'll figure that out later. But like the way you went into the bridge with the whispers where you were like, it sounded more minor than it was before, but it was one of those lyric and melodic things where it perfectly matches the feeling you're trying to convey. And that kind of like sinister, like whispery quality of the inner critic. And yeah,
Sinister, whispery quality of the inner critic. I love that. That's so true.
Yeah, and like I just think that is something. I have anxiety, so I really struggle with that kind of, and that's been a recent thing I've been thinking about also, is that difference between the inner critic and then intuition or the muse. I think kind of speaks to that, of like there's some issues that you deal with where, or at least I'll speak for myself, I deal with, where I feel like it's so hard to know which voice is saying the thing that you like believe like in your heart and like that you want to follow. Yeah, that evoked a lot for me because it just like it nailed it. It like named it so perfectly.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad. Like I said, it was to myself because I have those thoughts too, and I love that you called it sinister. Sinister, whispery quality of the inner critic, because the reason it's so hard to decipher is because there's some truth, right? Like there's always a little bit of truth to those like doubts, like, no, I'm not the best ever. Like you're right. I'm not the best musician ever. Like there is truth there, right? But it's not true that I can't be a great musician, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just one little example, but I think that's why it's so hard to decipher it sometimes. And I think for me, I like to think that my muse loves me because she is me, right? And so if my muse is saying something in my mind that is making me feel like garbage, it's probably not the accurate thing that I should be believing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's acknowledging that the inner critic has some points to make.
Yeah, right. Which can fuel you. Like, it's not always bad.
Right, exactly. Like I probably like do my laundry because of that voice, right? But yeah, and then also knowing there was I do this like YouTube series called Yoga with Adrienne, and
me too.
Oh my
I love
God.
Adrienne.
Yeah. So she was talking in one of the videos where like we were doing like foot massages, and she's like, if you're worried that you're not doing this right, you're doing it right. And it was like, oh, right. Like I am literally worried about whether I'm doing this right, and I know how to massage my foot. Like
right.
Things like that. Yeah. It just like puts that kind of thing into perspective. Cause like even in those moments, like the inner critic is there, and, acknowledging it, but then just doing the thing, because like it's never going to be perfect. It's just going to be what it is. Yeah.
And I think too, like, so there's two things that go through my mind when I play that song. One is the inner critic that we're talking about, the sinister. I love that. And the other is that I think a lot of us are actually afraid of success, and we don't talk about that as much because it sounds very arrogant. But we're actually afraid of, like, we are afraid that there is so much power and light within us, and it's overwhelming and we don't know what to do with it. And we're like, what if this is really big? Like, what if this is crazy powerful and I don't know how to handle that? I don't know. Have you ever felt that way? Because that was the other piece for me, I think. And I don't talk about this side as much, but when coming back to music and stuff, that was kind of a big part of it too, is I actually was just as afraid of success as I was afraid of failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that is also such a huge question that I think every musician I know grapples with. Like, it's that idea of, like, I think it's always questioning almost like, how far can I take this? What's the possibility there? And I think it's like a coming to terms with, like, there is endless possibility there. Like, you could grow as far as you possibly can, like you want to, but at the same time, there's also, like, there's not a right way to do that. So figuring out where your kind of voice is in the huge ether of musicians, and how to go about growing and developing in a way that is authentic to you, I think is, I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Authentic. Absolutely. I also think, like, I have two more things I want to say, and then I promise we'll get back into music. But I think, what was I just gonna? I had a thought, and then, okay, I'll say the other thing. No, what was I gonna say? What did you just say?
That it's such a big ether of musicians, and you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
You remind me. I think that in life, I think sometimes we're taught, like, you don't want to be like the cocky, arrogant person. And you don't. Like, you want to be humble, and you want to be, and, you know, and in the music world too, it's like, don't be a sellout. Like, don't, when people go from independent musician to successful, my song's playing on the radio a lot, they're labeled as a sellout, or have been historically sometimes. And so I actually think there is all of this negative language around success that is actually really damaging. And again, there's a little bit of truth. Like, don't be arrogant. Don't be, like, obviously. So there's always a little bit of truth. But I also think that it actually holds some of us back because we're, like, afraid to dream.
Right. Because there's all these kind of structures that are not real that we've created around success, of, like, if you're on the radio, then you've sold out. Or, I mean, I can even think, like, there's one specific to, like, female musicians of, like, oh, like, you shouldn't, I don't know, like, say anything, like, too explicit in your songs or something like that, because then, like, whatever. But, like, I think there's a little piece of me that's like, the game's made up and the points don't matter. So
right, yeah.
You might as well just go at it with, like, all the passion and drive that you have in your own unique way. And also at the same time, like, even though that doesn't necessarily mean, like, oh, you're going to be the best musician that ever existed, like, the pieces are going to fall where they fall. And, like, as long as you're doing something that feels true and cool to you, I think that's the point.
Yeah, absolutely. And this goes so far beyond just, we're talking about music because we're musicians, but this goes so far beyond just music. It pertains to everything in life. And I think the reason I wanted to play the Muse specifically tonight was, one, the similarities that you and I have in our stories, but also to bring it back to New Beginnings, who we are raising funds for this evening and awareness for, to bring it back to them. Like, I think sometimes we know things are off in our gut, but we're scared to listen to it. Like our muse is telling us, hey, this relationship isn't right, but we drag it on too long. Or like, or we're like, but how do I'm trapped. I had this great conversation with my dad recently where I was like, we're not trapped. Like none of us are trapped. Like everybody thinks that we're trapped. I'm trapped in this job. I'm trapped in this relationship. I'm trapped in this house. I'm trapped in New England. Like I don't feel it. I love New England, but
I know I
never leave. But like, you know what I mean? And like we are all one decision away from like a whole new life if we want it. And obviously that's a simplified version of, I know there's a lot of other things at play, but that's why I wanted to play it. Because if your gut's telling you something is off or that something needs to change in your life, you should just listen. It didn't go away for me, and I took way too long to listen to it. So it's probably not going to go away.
Yeah. I totally agree. A friend of mine said recently, it was so succinctly said, and I'm going to butcher it, but it was something about like, it's not the person or the situation, it's the story I'm telling myself about that person or that situation. And I'm stuck is such a powerful one of those, because I think we do tend to get ourselves into this routine, and we're creatures of habit. So of course, but also at the same time, yeah, you're completely right. I think we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And when we're able to break out of those almost like mental boxes that we put ourselves in, and like also that society puts us in, we have a lot to offer.
And luckily we have a lot of people on our side. Like there's so many organizations out there doing amazing work, like New Beginnings Tonight and so many others. Like there's just so much aid if you are, open to getting help. It's such a good first step. So I'm going to turn it over for you for some more music.
Okay, that sounds great.
I could just keep talking forever, but
I was just turning my piano back on. I'm like having the cable situation where I'm like, and I'm just going to get under this microphone to get my piano on. And
it was so smooth. We didn't even notice.
Thank you.
It was like, what?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go in order because I'm feeling organized, of my EP right now. Sorry, I should talk in the microphone. So this second song is called Deja Vu, and it came, I think it came out like right around the same time as Olivia Rodrigo put out Deja Vu. And
I immediately thought of her when you said that. I'm so sorry.
I couldn't believe it. But then also I was like, well, whatever. Like Beyonce put out a Deja Vu, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And it's fine. We can all have a song. So
it's so relatable. That's why.
Yeah. That's that feeling of like, again. That's where I'm gonna start. And yeah. All right. This is a little bit based off a storyline from the Gilmore Girls, but it's also a little bit based off of my life. So I just conveniently merged those two things together. I feel like this happened before. It happened at my old front door. You were standing in a sweater. I thought you knew better than to come around here anymore. I stopped taking photos after the wedding. I thought it'd be good to begin the forgetting, 'cause I'm a mess, but not your mess now. Would you call it deja vu if you knew that you were looking at somebody else's future through a lens cap? Would you tell them what you knew if it wasn't always too hard and it shouldn't need to be true or about that? I'd like to lodge a formal complaint to whoever is running this game. I can't quite pin it, but since I'm in it, I'd like to request some fair play. I developed some photos after your wedding. I thought it'd be good to begin the forgetting, 'cause you're a mess, but you're her mess now. Would you call it deja vu if you knew that you were looking at somebody else's future through a lens cap? Would you tell them what you knew if it wasn't always too hard, and it shouldn't need to be true or about that? Some of us see golden thread. Some of us wear sweaters, and it happens again. Your last words were, "She got pregnant. I should have known better." And it happens again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Would you call it deja vu if you knew that you were looking at somebody else's future through a lens cap? Would you even bother sending pictures of the ending? Oh, I'm so sick of pretending again. Thanks. Oh, your thing is muted.
Thanks.
No problem.
I also just realized that my guitar button was on mute this whole time. So I was like, oh.
That's...
that was beautiful.
Thanks. Does that mean you were not able to hear the guitar? Or?
No. You sounded great. My own mixer, I was like, wait, has my guitar been muted this whole time?
Oh, it hasn't. I mean, I've been able to hear it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that was so beautiful. I wrote down the line, "I'd like to lodge a formal complaint to anyone running this game." I enjoyed that line. I was like, me too.
Thanks.
I have some complaints.
Is there a complaint box? Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I need it. Yeah.
That was a very interesting and different take on the idea of deja vu, too.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. The feeling of like, oh, this situation keeps repeating itself and I keep being in it. Why? It goes back to that, like, we can empower ourselves to do different things theme.
Like recognizing those patterns and being like, oh, this is a pattern. I keep ending up here.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, things happen to us and we can make things happen.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Things happen to us and we can also, yes, I like that. You have some good little nuggets. And I keep just repeating them. And I'm like, oh, I should write that down. But luckily I'll be turning this into a podcast later and I will.
Yeah, luckily.
I will have them.
Yeah, this is recording. You could repeat them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So that's from your EP Little Stars. And what is is there like an overarching theme of that album? And
Definitely.
like, how did you come up with the title?
It's a breakup album for sure. I think I went through almost like a 3-year relationship in where I was on the East Coast of the US, and my boyfriend was in London at the time, and there was I always kind of wanted to do something to find like musical resolve from that relationship. And I wrote Messy Sheets, the first song I played, the second song I played, right after that breakup. And these other songs I kind of wrote, in the years following. And really, like, right even from when I met my now husband, who is a producer, thanks, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Yeah, even when I met my now husband, he was getting into producing, and I was like, I really want to write an album about this and record one. And then we eventually did it this year or last year. This year. What day is it? Who am I?
That's like so full circle, and also just like nuts. So you like you produced your breakup album with your now person. I love that.
Yeah.
So sassy of you.
Yeah, it's true. It's like half sass, and also like, thank God, like, my husband has the emotional like intelligence and like wellness that he does to be able to like hold space for me, just like, here are my emotions. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna play a song, but before I do, I wanted to bring it back to New Beginnings real quick, and I have a couple more testimonials that I wanted to share. I have two more that I haven't had a chance to share yet, and these are testimonials from people who have successfully exited this, I guess, program, I'll call it. But yeah, so this is from anonymously from somebody. I felt like such a prisoner to myself in this whole process for so long, but I don't know what I would have done without you guys to help. The connections you have helped me create has truly saved my life. And something that has helped me so much is that you have never seen me as a victim, but as a survivor. And that has helped push me and keep me going forward for myself and my kids. So I just love that language. Like, first of all, I want to say, a huge thank you to everyone who's supporting the show tonight. You can tip live, or you can tip after the fact. You can even tip on the podcast episode. All you have to do is comment which episode or night you're tipping for, and the funds will go to the right place. And so when you do that, you are helping to save someone's life. Like, this program does amazing work for survivors of domestic violence and abuse, kids, adults. It's just amazing. And so, first of all, thank you. And the other thing I love about this quote is the language of, looking at people as survivors and not victims. And that kind of goes along with that little nugget that you just said. We have things happen to us, and we can also make things happen. And I always try to like see people for what they can, like, when people are struggling, or I try to see them for what they can be and like the potential they have within them, and not based on the situation that they currently find themselves unhappily in. And I think that is just so powerful.
Yeah. I really like thinking about that just in terms of my work as a counselor. It's like, when people are empowered with a lot of the times information, but also just awareness of more angles of the situation than just the narrative that they've been told or that they've believed for such a long time, it's life-changing. And yeah, organizations like New Beginnings are so important and really help so many people improve their mental health or just recover from trauma. So if you are out there and you have $1, $5 to spare, that, like, I don't think there's a better thing you can be putting your resources towards.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Okay, I'm going to play a song I wrote called Puzzles. And this is from my first album, She Is Free, which came out in 2017. And it's, well, you'll see what it's about when I sing it.
Okay.
Everyone wants to know who's that someone that makes them whole. But I think it's funny to think of yourself as a broken puzzle. You can spend your whole life picking up the pieces and straightening out edges. Make sure no steps are missing, but isn't there more perfect picture with flat, straight borders. So come as you are and breathe as you are. You are not broke, you were born whole. This isn't your life spinning out of control. There's no manual for us to follow. Ducks never travel in one perfect row. So come as you are and breathe as you are. Everyone wants to know what's that something that makes them whole. I think it's funny to think of yourself as a broken puzzle. You can spend your whole life picking up the pieces and straightening out edges. Make sure no steps are missing, but isn't there more than one perfect picture with flat, straight borders? So come as you are and breathe as you are. Yes, come as you are, breathe as you are. People, they tell you gotta keep pushing, keep yourself busy. There's always room for improvement, but there's value in rest, that you're not being tested on. No room for regrets, they just keep you from being strong. Oh, oh, everyone wants to know who's that someone that makes them whole. Isn't it funny to think of yourself as a broken puzzle?
Wow. That one took me for a spin. I feel like that, like, where I thought you were going with that was the idea of like everything is connected and like you're a puzzle piece and like it's all connected. You're part of the whole. And then when
Also
you
true.
yeah, when you went to like thinking of yourself as like you could be like trying to fit all the pieces together in this like perfect position, but you don't, like you can configure that however you best please. Yeah, I really liked where you took that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and just the line of simply like you are not broken was really good.
Yeah, I mean, we all feel broken sometimes, and like that's totally valid, but we're, you know, we are born whole beings, like I keep saying, like with so much power and light within us, and somewhere along the way we start to lose that and question that, I think, sometimes. And so
Yeah.
let's not.
Yeah.
You are whole.
I love that.
Take it away, girl. What's next?
Yeah. I'm going to do, this one is called About the Weather. And
Oh, I love this song.
yeah, thanks. I think this was shared on the, I think you shared this on the Music Set You Free page. So.
I think Songwriter Roundup, maybe.
Oh,
we connected on, I have a few projects, but we connected on Songwriter Roundup because I think you submitted this song, or did I just like find it? I don't know, but I liked it and I
definitely
it.
submitted it. But yeah, that's so that's what's up next.
Cool. Let's hear it.
All right. Yeah. Thanks everybody who's here. This is the last song off my EP. Again, New Beginnings is an amazing organization, so I just want to keep encouraging people to donate or volunteer for them, because it sounds like they have some awesome opportunities if you'd like to kind of be a part of the mental health community. But this is about the weather. I know it won't escape you that I'm nearby, traveling like I did for all those years. Back when I came to your town, well, you rooted me in the ground. But the time passed on and it wasn't where I belonged. And long distance never was a friend to me. Not for lack of love or just because you were always overseas. Well, the reasons went and came, and the distance stayed the same. But I wouldn't say there was anyone to blame. And I guess you're not the only one affected, 'cause you've been taking space up in my dreams. It's a sign of how connected I felt when we were reckless. With the distance, the Atlantic, you and me. And long distance never was a friend to me. Not for lack of love or just because you were always overseas. Well, the reasons went and came, and the distance stayed the same. But I wouldn't say there was anyone to blame. So how's the weather in London? Are your brothers all grown up? Is your dad still mad at your political views? Is your mom still the one who's full of love? Are you still shut up inside? Or did she break down those walls? Well, I asked about the weather, but I don't care about that at all. And the sad truth is, you probably won't reach out. You have got a new life now. You've done well to shut me out. And the sad truth is, I could try to get in touch, but I won't 'cause it's too much. So how's the weather in London? Are you still playing guitar? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you happy with who you are? Can you believe how long it's been? I wish I knew something. Well, I asked about the weather, but I know it's still raining.
I just love those lyrics so much.
Thank you.
So much. Like, I asked about the weather, but I don't care about that at all. I asked, but I know it's like, it's just such, and it's such a good, just like, you're using such good visuals to discuss what's happening in this relationship, and I just love it. It's so good.
Thanks.
And the recording, like, I love the recording, how it kind of builds throughout too, and it like does that, but I also really loved hearing it stripped down.
Yeah, I love those strings in the recording. That was such a theme of that relationship. I feel like was a lot of like, and I feel like also just like a theme of like me wanting to like talk about the thing rather than like talk around the thing more and more as I've gotten older, and I think I've only become more like that. So many of my really, really good relationships, like I feel like we can just talk about the thing when we're talking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's like, when things are hard to talk about, it's just easier to be like, oh my God, it's going to like snow soon. I can't believe it's almost December. and nobody likes those conversations. Like, we all get bored by them, but we all do it. And it's like, I want to talk to you about what makes you come alive. What are you passionate about? Yes. Like, what are your beliefs? Like, what drives you to get up every day? Like, that's what I want to talk about, but it's like, you can't lead with that.
Right. You got to like smooth into it. You got to be like, oh man, the foliage is falling just kind of like, I don't know, maybe like you had a recent breakup or something. Like, I don't know.
Have you ever felt like you were falling? Because those leaves are on.
Yeah, exactly.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Well, I think we have time for one more song each, but before we start, I do want to ask you one of my questions.
Oh my God, of course.
Which is, so I'm torn between which question to ask. I'm going to combine them into one question.
Great.
So you have made the decision to like follow this creative passion of yours. And like, what has that been like? How are you, moving forward despite, we all have challenges in this field. And so like, what are those challenges? How are you overcoming them? And then part two, anyone who's watching, who's like, I have some passions deep within me that I want to step out and follow, but I'm nervous. I'm not sure if I should, like, what would your encouragement be to them? So I guess a two-part question.
Ooh, I love that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just as a side note, I'm seeing all these comments and thank you for everyone who is sending in applause and nice things to say. But yeah, I think the challenges of kind of artistry for me have a lot of the times gotten to where the logistics intersect with the creativity. I had a really great friend one time. This is when I was in theater, but like she explained it like we were sitting at a round table and she just cups her hands and she goes, this is acting and this is theater. And that blew my mind open about what was happening, because it's really just labeling the experience of like creating a song or, being in Logic, and Logic is a way to record songs or engineer or produce songs. And
the technical stuff.
Yeah, the actual making of the thing is the music, right? And then there's the music industry. Yeah. And I think it's the challenges for me are often about what am I doing this for? And who am I doing this for? And recently, I'm not going to say I have an answer to that because I don't, but like recently for me, the more that I'm doing art that I think is cool and really expresses the emotional stuff going on inside, that's what I care the most about. And that's not to say like doing art that you want to be recognized by other people is a bad thing, because I think it's a great thing. But I think finding that thing for me is always kind of something that's been a challenge for me. So yeah, that's that side of things. And then as far as people who are maybe wondering where to start with something like that, I mean, there's not really a magic bullet. Part of it is like diving in. And then also I think it's important to know, because this is like where my voice teaching kind of comes in. By the way, I'm a voice teacher, so if anybody's looking for a voice teacher, I'm open for it at breakitdownvocals.com. But I think if you're looking for that, like maybe you want to start guitar or singing, we were all bad at it, and we all had to be bad at it to start. And I think it takes some time and being gentle with yourself. And if you can get through that rocky period and kind of laugh at yourself and know that your teacher isn't judging you if they're a good teacher, and they want and that you as your inner teacher can be less judgmental of yourself, because everybody has to start somewhere. I think it's vulnerability, and then also kind of just jumping in. Nike, just do it.
Just do it. I love it. It's so true. Just do it. It's so true. And I would rather do something and fail miserably than always wonder what if, so.
Right. You get to pick which discomfort you deal with in your life. And like, if one discomfort means that you get to open up your horizons a little bit, like that seems like a worthy one.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, seriously, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Whether you are with us on the live and participating in this conversation in the chat, we're so grateful that you're here. And if you're watching later, hello, we love you too. We're going to close out the show with one more song each. And yeah, this has just been a great night. So Danielle, thanks for being here.
Oh my God, thanks for inviting me. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, you actually gave me a great segue into the last song I'm going to play, because this is a song that I released. This is the song Starlight that I released when you released your EP, Little Stars. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
okay.
Nailed it.
Which was so funny. And so I immediately was like, we have stuff in common. We both like stars. Oh, there's a lunar eclipse tonight.
No way. It's
So,
also a full moon tonight.
If anyone didn't know that, and I'm planning on waking up at 4 a.m. to watch it. It hasn't happened in 600 years. So
Oh my
like,
God. Setting my alarm.
it's pretty cool. I mean, it's 4 a.m. where I don't know, look it up, see like when it's coming to you, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, so stars. So I made this song for my Patreon page, which is called the Starlight Lounge. And then I had so much fun with it that I was like, I'm just going to put it on Spotify and Apple and all the streaming platforms. But I made it myself. So it's kind of scary to put out, because like all the stuff I had put out previously had been professionally done in studios and everything. So this was the first time that I attempted doing something on my own. And like you're talking about the technical side of music, this was definitely, you can tell the difference. But I don't know. Go listen for yourself. See if you like it. I mean, you know, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. Go hit it up. It's a good song.
It's so nerve-wracking, like putting stuff out that you've done yourself. But I also just got a new computer, so I'm like learning Logic. So I'm always diving deeper into that technical stuff. But I totally agree with you. It's like that challenge between, I'm like, I just want to write songs. Like this stuff is just too nuts for me. I don't know. But this was the first song that I ever produced myself. You can find it on Spotify. It's called Starlight. Shining. Your eyes remind me that we're still shining. No matter where life takes us, we'll be fine. 'Cause we are starlight, shining from the inside, keeping dreams alive. We are starlight. When my light is dimmed and fading, you speak to my heart, reminding me that even a little bit of glitter can be enough to light up the whole sky. 'Cause we are starlight, shining from the inside, keeping dreams alive. We are starlight. We are starlight. So gather all you hungry hearts, let's come alive tonight. All we need's a lot of love and a little bit of light. I get a whole lot brighter when I feel your hand in mine. Join us in the open sky where all of us can shine. 'Cause we are starlight.
gosh, the twinkles, like so good.
Like they're on my backing tracks.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, that's so it's so pure. It's like, gosh, it just gets back to like childhood kind of purity. Like, yeah.
We're all in this together, and I think we all feel so small, but like what if the whole sky was one star? Like what if you were like, let's go stargazing, and it was like, there it is, the star.
Yeah.
Like we need each other, and it's like, yes, we're all different, and we always think like, oh, they're shining brighter than me, or like, you know what I mean? Like, but we all, it takes all of us to be embracing our greatest delight to light up the sky. Again, that sounds so corny, but it's true. Like, what if all the other stars were like, nah, they don't need me?
Yeah, no, it's so real. I mean, it's such a metaphor for life. I feel like we also have so many hierarchies in the way that we structure like organizations or our society. And I feel like that can end up being like a power dynamic between the people at the highest level and like the less power being the people at the lowest level. But I feel like even that higher, lower, like I think within every group of people, there's people who have like different roles rather than like less important or more important roles. And yeah, to be able to reframe it like that and to also have it with such a beautiful metaphor as stardust is just amazing. Yeah.
Thanks. But I love what you're saying. Like, what if like our brains are so important, right? Like I need my brain for everything I do. But that doesn't mean I don't need my feet also. Like, yes. I also need, like it's all important. It's so, true.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, I don't want this night to end. I could talk to you for like hours. Honestly, I'm like, wait, we didn't even touch on some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So we'll definitely have to collaborate again sometime. But for tonight, what are you going to close us out with? And also, before you play your last song, also tell everyone where they can find you and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, awesome. People can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, DaniellePinals.com, breakitdownvocals.com if you want voice lessons, realtalkpractice.com if you want therapy, although I'm full. There's like a million different things that I do. That's the places. And I'm not on social media a lot these days, websites and emails are great. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, I'm going to play a song. It's called, this is actually pretty new. This is called The Garden of Eden, or just Garden of Eden. I've been working on it with my voice teacher. So I really am excited and nervous at the same time. Okay.
Yay.
Name it. All right. Wanna say the words, but I don't really have nothing to say. I can tell that something hurts, but I couldn't tell you what I'm afraid. I could use somebody to blame. Maybe it would make sense that way. Like a moth goes to the flame. Maybe it's just part of my nature. So I'll tell them that nothing's wrong, and they're all gonna play along. 'Cause in the Garden of Eden, nobody's sad for long. Pick a rose, but not the thorn. I've been bleeding since I was born. But in the Garden of Eden, we don't acknowledge a storm. Wanna say the words, but they wanna hear a metaphor. And they only wanna hear it if I take it to the 5 and the 4. I could use just saying it plain, but it wouldn't make sense that way. Could get on my knees and pray, or take it to the keys and play. So I'll tell them that nothing's wrong, and they're all gonna play along. 'Cause in the garden Garden of Eden, nobody said for long. Pick a rose, but not the thorn. I've been bleeding since I was born, but in the Garden of Eden, we don't acknowledge a storm. So what's on my heart these days? It's been a while since I heard the phrase. I locked her up for so long, the key's somewhere in the basement. But could you stand her unafraid? Could you see her wild grace? 'Cause from the songs you're all singing, I don't think you've changed. So let the show go on this way. Let the curtains draw on stage. I'll be the paper thin copy of who you want me to play. And I'll tell them that nothing's wrong, and they're all gonna play along. 'Cause in the Garden of Eden, nobody sat for long. Pick a rose, but not the thorn. I've been bleeding since I was born, but in the Garden of Eden, we don't acknowledge a storm. No, in the Garden of Eden, we don't acknowledge a storm.
I love that. I'm so glad you played a new one.
Thanks.
That
Yeah.
was so awesome.
Yeah. Wow. I got like so much more nervous of that than anything else I've done
You
today.
didn't seem nervous at all. It was great, honestly.
Thanks.
There were some, you've got some like great lyrical stuff going on in your songs.
Ah, thanks. You do too. That feels so good coming from you because your lyrics are just incredible. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. This is one that stuck out to me too. My dad put it in the chat.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm like, it's so true. It's such a game. Like, how are you? I'm good, fine. You know, it's so true. It was such a good line, such a good line. And like, you don't even say the word game, but just by saying play along, like, I love it. And the melody is captivating.
thank you.
It's so catchy. I'm like, oh yeah, da 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 da. I'm very glad you played a new one. I love it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you for also inviting me to do this. And I'm like so excited to be a part of this, like for the musical aspect, of course, but also like to be like supporting something as important as New Beginnings. Like, I just think that what this is so amazing and important. And yeah, thanks for inviting me to it.
And I so appreciate you being here and sharing your music and, you know, really like donating your time in a way, because, you know, 50% of the proceeds tonight are going to go to New Beginnings, and then Danielle and I will share the rest. But it's also just very generous of you to do that. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. We love you. We're so happy to hang out with you tonight, and hope that you enjoyed your time with us as well. And I'll be doing another one of these in December. I don't know the date yet, so stay tuned, and I'll let you know when I know. But thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Have a great night.